20 math skills, number 16, time. There are three areas of time we're going to look at. How to change from AM, PM to 24-hour clock times, the relationship between hours and minutes, and duration problems, how long things last. Now we're going to start with AM, PM times. The time between 12 midnight and midday is called AM, and probably you get up about 7 AM, come to school at 9 AM, and maybe have your lunch about 12 midday. Now the blue section is the PM times, and you probably get back to your house about 4 PM, eat dinner about 7 PM, and maybe go to bed about 9 PM, although all primary children lie about what time they really go to bed. Now, there's a slight confusion with AM, PM times, because if you're talking about 7 AM, it could easily get mixed up with 7 PM. So, a new system called the 24-hour clock was invented. Instead of calling 1 PM, it was decided to call it 1300 hours. Instead of 2 PM, it was 1400. Instead of 3 PM, it was 15. Instead of 4, it was 16. Now, there is actually a very, very simple way to change these afternoon PM times into 24-hour clock times. You simply add 12. That needs to be locked into your memory. To change from afternoon PM times to 24-hour clock times, you need to add 12. So, if it's 4 PM, 4 add 12 equals 16. If it's 8 add 12 equals 20. So 8 PM or 20 on the 24-hour clock. If you want to go the other way and you want to change those afternoon times back from 24-hour clock to AM, PM, you do the opposite, subtracting 12. So for example, 20 take away 12 is 8. So on the 24-hour clock, it would be 20, and on the AM, PM, it would be 8. But you must say 8 PM, because otherwise we don't know whether we're talking about AM or PM. Similarly, 22 take away 12 is 10. So on the 24-hour clock it's 22, but on the AM PM clock it's 10. And again you must say 10 PM to distinguish between 10 in the morning and 10 in the afternoon. Now, the next section is all about the relationship between hours and minutes, and of course the most important fact is there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. Now, to do stuff with that fact, you must know your 6 times table. 1 times 6 is 6, 2 6 is 12, 3 6 is 18, 4 times 6 24, 5 times 6 30, 6 times 6 36, 7 times 6 42, 8 times 6 48, 9 times 6 54, 10 times 6 is 60. Now, you can use the zeros method to work out how many minutes in an amount of hours using the 6 times table. So, in 3 hours, there is 3 times 60 minutes. Well, if you know that 3 times 6 is 18, then just add the 0 from the sum, it's 180 minutes. Or, for example, if you want to work out how many minutes in 5 hours, it's 5 times 60. 5 times 6 is 30. Add the 0 from the sum, 300 minutes. Now, things get more complicated when you introduce a quarter of an hour, 15 minutes, half an hour, 15 and 15, 30 minutes, 3/4 of an hour, 15, 15 and 15, 45 minutes, and a whole hour, 60 minutes. So, for example, if you have to work out how many minutes in 3¼ hours, the 3 is 3 times 60, 3 times 6, 18, add the 0, 180, and a quarter of an hour, if you remember, number is 15 minutes. So to find the total, 180 and 15 is 195 minutes. Similarly, if we had to find how many minutes were in 4.5 hours, the 4 hours is 4 times 60 minutes. 4 times 6 is 24. Add the 0, 240. Half an hour is 30 minutes. So, to find the total, 240 plus 30, it's 270 minutes. Now, exactly the same relationship applies to minutes and seconds. Within 1 minute, there is 60 seconds. So, in the same way, in a quarter of a minute, there'll be 15 seconds. In half a minute, there'll be 15, 15, 30 seconds. In 3/4 of a minute, there'll be 15, 15, 15, 45 seconds. And in a whole minute, there'll be 60 seconds. So, if we're asked to find out how many seconds in 6 3/4 minutes, the 6 minutes will be 6 times 60 seconds. So 6 times 6 is 36. Add the 0, 360. 3/4 of a minute are 45 seconds. So if we add those together, the total is 405 seconds. Similarly, if we were asked to find 2 1/4 minutes, the 2 minutes would be 2 times 60 seconds. 2 times 6 is 12. Add the 0, 120 seconds. 1/4 of a minute is 15 seconds. Add those together, it would be 135 seconds. Now, the last type of problems are duration problems, and they're typically a plane leaves at 2:30 p.m. and it finally lands at 6:10 p.m. Can you find out how long that whole plane flight took? Now, the key thing to lock into your memory to work out these kind of problems are all the pairs that add up to 60. There's 3 where all the numbers end in 5, and there's 3 where the pairs end in 0. So, 5 and 55, easy to remember all the 5s. 15 and 45, we've seen those before in 1/4 and 3/4 of an hour. And 25 and 35. In the pairs that end in 0, the multiples of 10. 10 and 50 make 60. Double 30 makes 60. And 20 and 40 make 60. Now, how do we use those? Well, for example, if the plane takes off at 3:45 and it lands at 4, we could go 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60 whole hour. Count them up, it would be 15 minutes. But if we're going from an amount of minutes to the whole next hour, we can just use the pair that goes with 45. Now it was 15. So from 3:45 to 4 o'clock is 15 minutes. Similarly, if we're going from 3:30 to the next whole hour, 4, the pair that goes with 30 to make 60 is 30 minutes. If we're going from 3:15 to 4 o'clock, the next whole hour, the pair that goes with 15 minutes is 45. So the journey takes 45 minutes. Now, it's got a little bit more complicated because 5 o'clock is not the next whole hour after 3:15. We need to stop off at 4, which is the next whole hour. So, from 3:15 to 4, the pair that goes with 15 is 45 minutes. And from 4 to 5 is 1 whole hour. The duration of that journey is 1 hour, 45 minutes. Similarly, if we start at 1:35, the next whole hour is 2. So from 1:35 to 2, the pair that goes with 35 is 25 minutes. And from 2 to 3 is 1 hour. The duration, how long that journey takes, is 1 hour, 25 minutes. Now, a little bit more complicated still. The next whole hour after 1:35 is 2. So the pair that goes with 35 to make 60 is 25. So that's 25 minutes. But now, from 2 to 4 isn't just a single hour, it's 2 hours. 2 hours and 25 minutes. More complicated still. From 2:30 to 4:10. Well, we need the next whole hour after 2:30, which is 3. And now we need the whole hour before 4:10, which is of course 4. Now, there are 3 parts to this. The pair that goes with 30 to the next whole hour is 30 minutes. From 3 to 4 is 1 whole hour. And from 4 to 4:10 is 10 minutes. If we total them up, 1 hour 30, 1 hour 40 minutes. Now, the most complicated one yet. From 10:45, after that, the next whole hour is 11. The whole hour before 15:10 is 15. But now, let's see, the pair that goes with 45 is 15 minutes. From 15 to 15:10 is 10 minutes. But from 11 to 15 is 12, 13, 14, 15. It is 4 hours. 4 hours 15, 4 hours 25 minutes. Now, there's a lot in there, and these are the things, if you want to become good at time, that you'll have to practice and remember. Firstly, that 1 hour is 60 minutes, a quarter of an hour is 15 minutes, half an hour 30 minutes, 3/4 of an hour 45 minutes, and a whole hour 60 minutes. You'll have to know your 6 times table to work out how many minutes are in an amount of hours. And finally, you will need to know the pairs that make 60.